On this day in 2017, I was at Kayla Trujillo's house to get help stopping the abuse from the Bollingers, and from Kenneth Wilson and Alycia Plunkett, and their roommate, Dawn Bird. You're not allowed to stand up to your predators if you're different, or they will physically assault you. You have to let them take advantage of you, or they gang up on you and pretend like you're the bad guy because you told on them. On the bright side, I'm not a very nice guy anymore, am I? I don't give a fuck about your pride. Now let's take a look at Taylor Swift. Jesus Christ. If I had 24 hours with her, and I could do anything I wanted and she couldn't say no, I'd feed her. She's not healthy. Mentally or physically. Her music fucking sucks. And she's very privileged. Very privileged. She makes a lot of money. And then she wants to bitch about men in the music industry. Wants to say if a man does something, it's strategic. And if a woman does something, it's calculated. Those two kind of go hand in hand, showing that men and women aren't that much different. We just got some white girl, scrawny as hell, who needs to eat more, whining because she doesn't have enough. She's not given enough. Well, that ain't right. The words that she's bitching about are fucking trivial. God, I wish that was the biggest of my worries. Whether or not somebody calls it calculated or strategic. When girls decide to be mean, it's very calculated. It is very strategic. When they go and slander your name because they're angry, what are they angry about? It's always something stupid. Always something stupid. What does Alycia Bollinger do when she doesn't get what she wants? She goes and whines at other people until they harm somebody. She knows the right people to lie to. Same thing with Maddie Boa. She wasn't dumb enough to go running around saying certain things to certain people. She only said those things to the people that she had control over, or rather, she had control over their drugs. One thing some of you might not know, a drug dealer can tell you no. A drug dealer can decide he's not going to sell you any more meth, or in Maddie Boa, Natalie Bollinger, and Alycia Bollinger's case, these are all women selling drugs. We're supposed to feel sorry for them because they're cheapskates. While they play on privilege to have innocent people harmed because they were embarrassed. Why were they embarrassed? Because they fucked up. They did wrong shit and didn't want consequences, and they didn't care who got the consequences, just as long as it wasn't them. Taylor Swift is disgusting. You know who else is disgusting? Alycia Bollinger. What do they both have in common? Because of their looks, people will listen to them. You don't think people would come after you and try to harm you or even kill you if Taylor Swift said she didn't like you? Especially if you out here on the streets. Taylor Swift is disgusting. I don't just mean the way she looks, I also mean the way that she thinks. Now, if Taylor Swift was actually a child molester, how much time would she serve? An average of 8 months. That's with overwhelming evidence. An average of 8 months. Whereas if she pretends that somebody might do that to her, you guys will clap him in iron so fucking quick. Meanwhile, the stuff that she's complaining about, strategic versus calculated, well, that's a lot different than that music is great and that music is shit. If people think your music is shit, that's a matter of preference. That's not because you're a female, it's because your music is shit. And yes, maybe there are people who like your music. With Taylor Swift, yes, there are plenty of people who like her music. There's also a lot of little girls who want to grow up to be Taylor Swift. They want to grow up to be that out of touch with reality. They want to grow up to be that skinny. And they want to be able to bitch about piddly shit. Like whether you said strategic or calculated. Holy fuck. I don't have to like Taylor Swift. I don't have to like the way she looks. I don't have to like the way that she's presented herself. I don't have to like the way that others present her. I don't have to like any of it. But what I hear Taylor Swift doing is catering to the most disgusting people in America. She doesn't have any real, legitimate problems. None. You want to bitch about the word strategic versus calculated. How about we argue about the word disabled versus mentally ill? Is Taylor Swift having to go through the same shit as Britney Spears? Nope. Which one do I see as a human being? Britney Spears. Soon as she shaved her head many years ago, I went, finally, I can see that person as a person. Taylor Swift makes a lot of anti-men songs. A lot of what we like to call it girl power. It's not girl power. It's cruelty. Let me tell you something about every single woman out there in an abusive relationship. They put themselves in that relationship, not men. When you want to bitch that men are horrible because you're a dumb cunt who is attracted to assholes who beat on you, that's your fault you got beaten on. because you went back. It's your fault that you got beaten on, not men's fault. If James Payton pushes you down a flight of stairs, James Payton did that, not men. I make a lot of posts where I change the word men to women, and those posts are not well liked. Because while the woman is allowed to say whatever she wants, and we're supposed to just take it as if it's gold, a man is more likely to be talked over. Now, there are men who are less likely to get talked over. These are the good-looking men, the Channing Tatums of the world. You'll listen to them. You'll listen to Jason Momoa. You'll talk about how men only care about one thing, while you post up pictures of half-naked firemen with the caption of "You wish that your house would burn down." But you're offended if a man says anything close to that. You're offended if a man posts up a picture of a woman in a bikini. Meanwhile, you'll post up picture after picture after picture of yourself in a bikini, if you got the body for it. She also said that men react and women overreact. Well, we've gotten to see both men and women overreact. Well, she doesn't have any real problems. I got a lot of friends that are in the ground right now because, well, we as a nation have decided that women should not be held accountable. That despite the fact that women are 11 times more likely to be stalkers, we're still going to house the men in prisons and jails. We're still going to blame the men. Men have no reason to contribute to American society. None. Now, there are some men who have families, and they contribute because they have to take care of their families. But they don't really get any benefit from existing in the United States. What we get is abuse by pampered princesses like Taylor Swift. If I could have 24 hours with Taylor Swift to do whatever I want, and she couldn't say no. You guys have heard these things popping up on your timeline. If you could have 24 hours with me, and I couldn't say no, what would we do? Well, in the case of Taylor Swift, we would take some of your money, and we'd go get some fucking food. If she couldn't say no, 24 hours, well, I'm not going to make her eat the whole 24 hours. She'd burst. I'm not evil. But 24 hours, I could show her a lot. I could show her what it's really like for us. I could also show her how her help hurts all of us. I could show her with examples from others as well. If you're a millionaire, and you're going to complain about strategic, oh God, would Taylor Swift rather be called strategic or a child molester? I'm betting she'd rather be called strategic. Would she rather be called calculated or a child molester? I'm betting she'd rather be called calculated. Taylor Swift is well, we're supposed to say a pretty white girl, right? But she's not pretty. She's too skinny. That's for my preferences anyway. But do I want to date her? Do I want to have a sexual relationship with her? Do I want to marry her? No. I suppose next somebody going to tell me it's not Taylor Swift's fault. She has an eating disorder. Well, I wouldn't doubt it. If you've got an eating disorder where you think that you have to puke up all of your meals, well, you could make a choice just not to puke up your meals. That's pretty simple. Natalie and Alycia Bollinger were on drugs. They did a lot of bad things, and they got away with those things because they're whiny females. Natalie Bollinger wanted access to her drugs. Alycia Bollinger wanted access to her drugs. What was more important to those two, my life or their drugs? What was more important to those two, telling the truth or their drugs? What was more important, being honest or getting attention? Taylor Swift doesn't have to do a goddamn thing. Her life is set. I want you to look at the conditions I live in. This is my house. This is my car. It doesn't work. It's busted to shit. People beat on me frequently and often. And you might look at my complexion and go, oh, well, he's white. I get called the N-word more than most of the black people I know. It's been over 48 hours since somebody called me the N-word. You know why people call me the N-word? Because I stick up for black people. I stick up for women. I stick up for men. I believe that no victim should be left behind, regardless of skin color, regardless of gender, regardless of age. We've gotten to see through this entire situation that people make their decisions not based on your content of character, but based on who you pretend to be, religiously, philosophically. What's more important? Telling the truth? Is that important to any of you? What truth is important to you? The real truth? Or something that you heard from somebody? Let's talk about country music for a minute. We don't have real country music, do we? We got Jason Aldean singing about small towns and how shitty people are in small towns. Apparently, dude doesn't live in a small town. And the stuff that he talks about from a small town was shit. Nobody's robbing you at gunpoint in Chapel, Nebraska at a stoplight for a reason. There's no fucking stoplight. There is no stoplight. But that's a small town. Jason Aldean would know that if he knew anything about small towns. But it's not about that, is it? It's about making money, presenting an image, and pretending. Same thing with Taylor Swift. She don't know shit about the world. She's a pampered white girl. She doesn't have to work for a goddamn thing. If she wanted to retire right now, she could retire in a fashion that nearly everybody else in the country, we wouldn't consider it comfortable. We would consider it luxurious. But she's whining about some words, and they ain't even bad words. Well, I have to beg people to listen, because I will be continually harmed as long as they don't. She doesn't have to beg for shit. She just bitches and it's handed to her. Taylor Swift is disgusting, mentally and physically. She puts on a good game face. But the reality is, most Americans have real problems, and Taylor Swift don't know a goddamn thing about those.